Hi, I'm Hannah. This is Piles of Books, and today I want to highlight some books that I really like as early readers for my children. For those of you who are new here, I am a homeschooling mom of 4. We use the Charlotte Mason philosophy, specifically the Ambleside online curriculum, so our school days are filled with living books rather than textbooks for the most part. And there's just a lot of reading that goes on around here. So currently I have 2 kids who are reading. I have an 8-year-old, and he's been reading independently since he was 5. And then I have a 6-year-old daughter who is just now getting her feet wet really in the independent reading. And so they both read every day. That is a priority for us. You know, some days there's more reading than others, but they do read at least a little bit of something every single day. They both enjoy reading, and I'm really grateful for that. So I think that some of the reason that they enjoy reading so much is the choice of books that they have been given. Over the years, we have found some tried and true authors and some tried and true books that have really, I think, laid a super good foundation for reading for my children. These are mostly, I think, for the most part, the ones I'm going to be sharing today are classic authors, are classic books. We do read modern things as well, but for the most part, we have stuck to classics just because there's a lot of reasons. But some of the reasons really just lie around the fact that they have been around for so long, and they have stood the test of time with so many families for so long that I feel like, you know, those are just usually what I'm kind of just drawn to. So anyway, I'm going to share just a number of books and authors today that I feel like have a lot of value to add to your home library. And, you know, even if you don't have the space or the money to invest in a home library at this point, a lot of these books I think can still be found at the local library. As the years have gone on, I have had more and more trouble finding some of these books, which is why I just started buying them and collecting them to have on our shelves so that, you know, my kids can have plenty of reading options that I find fit for our family. So anyway, all of that to say, without further ado, let's get into some of these books that I like for beginning readers. Alright, the first set of books today that I'm going to share is actually, they're not older classics. These are, let me see. I actually don't know when these were published. 2000, it says. So, I guess, wow, they're like 24 years old. That is the Magic Treehouse series. There's a whole bunch of these. They are really fun. My kids have enjoyed these at different times. I wouldn't say that these are like long-lasting books that they pick up just again and again and again, like some of the other books that I'm going to share. And they're not consistent. Like, my kids are not always in the mood to read these, but they are a really good option, and they are super easy to find, used, new, and at your local library. So these are written by Mary Pope Osborne, and they are just, there's a sibling, brother and sister, Jack and Annie, and they travel in a time machine. It's their treehouse. It's a magic treehouse, and it takes them back to different time periods. So there's also this kind of like series. It's all part of the Magic Treehouse series, but they're called Merlin missions, and so they meet up with the magician Merlin from, you know, like King Arthur, and they do special missions for him. So anyway, these have been, like I said, loved from time to time by my kids. Currently, both my 8 and my 6-year-old are reading through these. We own a number of them, but I don't like seek these out. I just pick them up when I find them at the thrift store for, you know, 25 cents or something, but we do get them from the library. So this one is Stallion by Starlight. This is a Merlin mission, and then this one is Civil War on Sunday. So like on the back of this here, it shows just a few others. There's Revolutionary War on Wednesday, Twister on Tuesday, Earthquake in the Early Morning, and Stage Fright on a Summer Night, which is like a Shakespeare, not a retelling, but a companion, I guess, sort of. My 8-year-old just read that one from the library and he really enjoyed it. So these ones are great for beginning readers. I don't know, did I show you the inside? I can't remember if I did. There are lots of illustrations, not on every page, but there are quite a few through here, so it's not all text. The font is really big, and I think just the Jack and Annie, the siblings, are really, you know, kind and sweet to each other. Very realistic. They don't always get along, but for the most part, they do really well together. The next author that I am going to share today, I have 2 of his books with me right now. Let's set these down. This is Clyde Robert Bulla. This is Squanto, Friend of the Pilgrims, and Viking Adventure. There are a number of other books by him. We own several of them. These are really lasting stories. We have read several of his books just as family read-alouds, but then my kids have also read them on their own. So my 8-year-old, I know these 2 specifically, he has read these multiple times, and my 6-year-old, I believe, read the Squanto one here a while back. So these are a bit more difficult than like the Magic Treehouse books, but they are still totally doable. I would say mostly on the same level, you know, a little bit more advanced maybe, but not much. So there's quite a few illustrations, not, again, you know, not on every page, but quite a few. And we have enjoyed this. This one, Viking Adventure, actually, my kids were really sick like a year ago, or a year and a half ago now. Anyway, they said, Mom, can you just read us a book? Can we lay down and you just read us a book? So I grabbed this one. It was new to us at the time. And I just, over the course of the day, I read the entire thing to them. They loved the story so much. Clyde Robert Bulla is an extremely good storyteller, brings stories to life in the best ways. And so we have really enjoyed this author. One that is really similar to Magic Treehouse is Imagination Station. So this is essentially the same thing as Magic Treehouse, just these stories are told from a biblical perspective. So this is actually, I haven't actually read these. My kids have. Anyway, I think this also is yes, Patrick and Beth are the brother and sister in this book, like Jack and Annie, and they travel through time and, you know, solve mysteries and help people and do different things. Very, very, very similar to the Magic Treehouse. I think, though, that there are less books in the Imagination Station series, but there are still, like, I want to say there's around 30 or something. There are a bunch. And these are definitely, I've noticed these have less illustrations, but they still have quite a few. And these books are a bit longer than the typical Magic Treehouse, but the stories are still really engaging. Like I said, I haven't read these, but I've had my son, when he started reading them, he was still reading out loud to me every day, and so I would have him read a little bit out loud to me, and I've heard him talk about the stories. Like, he'll, you know, tell me what he read about or tell his sisters or something, and so these ones are also really good. Another author that we enjoy is Evie White. So I have Charlotte's Web and Stuart Little. I will say Stuart Little is our least favorite of the Evie White books, but I could not find The Trumpet of the Swan. And actually, I think my 6-year-old maybe is reading it. Oh no, it is here on the shelf. But it's missing most of the cover because this is a very well-loved book. I need to probably get another copy of it at some point. These books are really charming, and they are mostly told from, well, yeah, they are told from the perspectives of the animals in the story. So I think that's probably one reason that my children are very drawn to them. We have read both of these out loud. We started Stuart Little out loud, and I just I did not enjoy it. And my 8-year-old, I just let him finish reading it, and he didn't really enjoy it that much either. But Charlotte's Web and The Trumpet of the Swan have both been definitely winners for us in this house. So these stories, they are a little more difficult. Like my 6-year-old hasn't been able to tackle these yet, but she will before long. So the font is definitely a bit smaller, and there's less illustrations in these, although there are still quite a few illustrations. But the words themselves are actually fairly easy to read. Like there's nothing too difficult in them. And I think that like Charlotte's Web especially is such a popular story that I think that helps in some ways for them to be able to get through a book. The Trumpet of the Swan is it's equally as charming. And one thing I think about these two is while they are a little bit more difficult, I think like Clyde Robert Bulla, Evie White does such a good job telling a story and making you want to continue reading it. And so these, like I know my 8-year-old has read this multiple times. This was one of his first chapter books. My 6-year-old just, and maybe it's because we read this as a read aloud recently, she hasn't been interested enough to finish the book on her own, even though I think that she probably could do it right now. But anyway, so Evie White is another author that we really enjoy for early readers. Another book series that we really enjoy is the classic The Boxcar Children. This is again not something that I necessarily seek out to buy. When I see them at thrift stores or garage sales, I pick them up. We get them from the library. We do own a number of them, and I know that I want to say I don't know if there's like 100. I was thinking there were like 100 of them. I know that a lot of people in the like Charlotte Mason, classic books, no twaddle, wholesome books sorts of communities say to only read the first 12. I've never really stuck with that. We have read way more than the first 12. I shouldn't really say we. I read most of them as a girl. I don't remember many of the stories. I do remember some of them, but my son has read, way more than just the first 12. So these are just, they're fun little mysteries. And the first one especially is really sweet. I'm glad that there were more after that, but I mean, also, I don't know that, you need to write 100 books, but anyway, I think one reason that my son has been so drawn to these is because it's a family of 4 kids, 2 boys and 2 girls, and that's what we have. And so it does feel kind of, I don't know if familiar is the right word, but there's just a sweet connection with our family. So we have really enjoyed these. They are ones that my kids have read like over and over. My oldest has read many of the books, and he's read many of them multiple times. My 6-year-old has only read the first one, I believe, but I am confident that she probably will want to continue with the series just like her brother, because they are really cute stories. Okay, I have 2 more book series to share with you today. These are both classic series that are probably a bit harder to find just like from your local library, but you can definitely find them used fairly cheap. And the first one is the Thornton Burgess books. So I have a number of different editions. Let's see. So we've got this Dover Children's Thrift Classics, The Adventures of Danny Meadow Mouse. This one is The Adventures of Jerry Muskrat, and it's a vintage hardcover copy. We've also got some of these. This is The Adventures of Bobby Coon. So these stories center around, and then here, let me see. So then we've also got this set. This is like a kind of, it's the same sort of series, the same characters are in it, but just, I guess, like a sub-series. This is the Mother West Wind. So there's Where stories, Why, what else? Mother West Wind's Children. There's a plethora of these. And so these stories all take place in, there's a community of animals. So there's some that live at the pond, there's birds that live in the orchard, there's farmyard animals, there's the woodland animals, and they just live in this one big place. I actually have I found it online. Somebody had made like a Burgessville map, and I printed it off to hang in our kids' library room, but I'm not sure where I set that. Anyway, so all of the animals are interconnected. You know, there's some that are friends, and then, you know, Reddy Fox, he's a mischievous young fox, and so there are some of the animals like Peter Rabbit who don't like him. And anyway, the stories are pretty charming. They are those are some of the most loved books, I think, probably in our home. Like, if we were moving and we could only take one children's book series, it would probably be the Thornton Burgess books. We started out with the first one I think my son read was actually, now that I think about it, was actually Reddy Fox. Yep, this one, this vintage edition, Reddy Fox, and he flew through it. And so I just kept buying them. We did the library. I could find this edition, these paperback Dover's Children Classic ones from the library, and so I would get a whole bunch from there as well. But when I find them, I do buy them, and so we have so many of them now that we're kind of getting into the more expensive ones that are harder to find. But this is a series that I will buy. Eventually I will own all of them because my children have loved them so much. So these are fairly easy to read. There are, I was thinking there were a few illustrations. Yeah, there are a few. They're very charming, old-fashioned, but there are not very many of them. So while there's not a lot of illustrations, these are actually fairly easy books to read. The font is fairly large, the text, the words, you know, nothing is really too difficult, and they're very cute stories. So those are definitely, probably, like I said, probably the favorites out of all the books we own. Those are the ones my kids enjoy the most. And the last series that I want to share with you today is this Happy Hollisters series. So this is another mystery series for kids, and these are older books, although I think I heard that somebody they're going to be republished or reprinted here, and maybe they've already started on that. So I think that these are probably going to become easier to find. However, I don't know if if anything is going to be changed in the books. I'm not sure about that. So we own the older ones. These I got at a thrift store, and the stickers are really stuck on there, and that just drives me crazy. These are like fantastic vintage books. Why would you put a sticker right on the front? But anyway, we own, the ones that we own are just this old set. I will continue to buy these. Some of them have dust jackets, like this one, but to buy them with the dust jacket on them like doubles their price, and they're not the cheapest books to find anyway. So I typically don't buy them with the dust jacket. But this one I found at the thrift store for $3. You can see the sticker, and I haven't even tried to get this sticker off because I don't want to ruin the dust jacket. All right, so there you go. Those are some of our very favorite beginner chapter books, I guess. I will do a video on some of early readers. I still need to do that, but I've just had a hard time kind of narrowing down which ones have worked the best for our family, and I think that's because my son and my daughter, my 8-year-old and my 6-year-old, have been drawn to different things, and so it's taking a little bit longer for me to really narrow down which ones I want to talk about in a video. But as far as like once your kids are past that, you know, Go Dogs Go, Berenstain Bears, The Cat in the Hat, those types of books, once they're beyond that and they are reading early chapter books, these are the ones that we have found to be the most endearing. These are the ones that we have loved the most. we have had a lot of books in and out, and these are not all the books that my kids have read. I mean, we have read a bunch of like early chapter books. We own many more than that. There's like Amelia Bedelia, Junie B. Jones, Paddington Bear. There's a bunch of them, but I just wanted to highlight the ones that have really shaped my children's reading, and the ones that have, you know, stood the test of time here. These are the types of books that, you know, we might sit down at supper and my husband will ask the kids, you know, what'd you guys do today? And, you know, one of them might mention, oh, I finished the Burgess book that I was reading, and oh, you know, can you tell me about the story? The ones that really make their faces light up, and the ones that keep their love of reading going. So anyway, these are all fantastic books, and I hope that you will check out some of these, maybe from the library, or maybe go ahead and buy some for your children. They have been such a blessing to us. I am very, very grateful for the influence that these books have had on my kids and on their reading life, because I think that's so important for a young reader to really I try to give my kids a variety of books and help them kind of hone in on their reading life, on their reading journey. I want them to know that reading is enjoyable. And yes, sometimes we have to read, you know, hard books that aren't as enjoyable to learn something or for school or, you know, all of that. But I also want them to know that that can be balanced with books that are just simply enjoyable, and these books have been that for my children. So that is what I have to share with you today. If you have any thoughts on any of these books, I would love to hear that in the comments below. And if you have some beginning chapter book recommendations for me that I could share with my kids, that would be fantastic. We are always looking for new things to add to our shelves or to add to our library hold account. So definitely let me know that for sure in the comments below. Thanks so much for being here. We will see you in the next video.